Now, there are three other variables that you might come across. These are mediating, moderating, and confounding variables. So starting with a confounding variable, this can affect both your independent variable and your dependent variables. And confounding variables may or may not interfere with the results of your experiment. Now, what do I mean by this? So let's take a look at the example that I mentioned before about the cyclists that were being tested by researchers, and they were looking for the effects of caffeine on endurance. So a confounding variable here would be, let's say that out of two groups of subjects, one group you make them bike at 2 a.m. and the other group you're going to make them bike at 2 p.m. And obviously the ones at 2 a.m. that are biking are going to have a disturbed circadian rhythm, and that's greatly going to impact their muscle endurance. And it's not really going to test if the caffeine is working well or not, or it might interfere and conflict, as opposed to the 2 p.m. group who is biking at a more so normal time. They are going to have true and valid results of the caffeine, and you can really draw good conclusions from this type of experiment. So this is an example of a confounding variable. When you have a variable that's going to skew or negatively impact your results in some type of way. So now let's take a look at a moderating variable. So moderating variables cannot be the result of an independent variable. So what do I mean by this? Let's take a look at a variable such as age. So if we take a 90-year-old subject and we try and test the effect of caffeine on their muscle endurance, of course they are not going to be as endured as someone who is younger because they are old. And this is going to affect the relationship of the dependent variable and the independent variable. Now, lastly, we have mediating variables. And these are going to be the reason, the purpose for an effect/results. So for example, the stimulating effects of this caffeine are going to increase your muscle endurance. So in this case, what is the mediating variable? It's going to be the stimulating effects of the caffeine. That's going to be your mediating variable.